have a quote that reads, quote, "Plenty of people are terrified when it comes to food. They just want to make it right, but they think everything's going to be wrong. I hope after seeing my videos, they'll think, look at his mozzarella, because there's an imperfect process." So, end quote. Why do you think that food scares people?
That's a very good question, I think. Because it terrifies people. Cooking is just something. I mean, you're a chef. I don't even know if you realize that. People are terrified from cooking. They just feel like they're going to do something wrong. They're going to waste money. They're going to waste ingredients. They're going to be failures, and they're going to have a hard time coping with what they put on the table. They're going to be judged. What is your question exactly? Is it like, why do I think that people are scared?
Well, yes, but the next question I was going to follow up with was how do you define confidence in the kitchen? Because I think that's the opposite of fear potentially in this context. It's you're confident, and I think the way that I was going to help us get there if we were having trouble was you're so good and comfortable with finding the imperfections in your execution, and you're so used to asking for feedback. What's wrong with mine? Because I want to get better at this. And I think that go ahead.
I'll try to remember all the different parts in this question. But I would say that, first of all, I think, so just to take it, people are scared of cooking it's a fear of failure, obviously. Wasting money, wasting time. We don't have time, we don't have money, more or less. So wasting these precious resources is scary, for a good reason, I would say. Second, you say it was about confidence. It was about cooking confidence. So
how do you define confidence in the kitchen? Because it's cooking an 8-course meal.
Yes.
Sometimes it's making a 1-pot dinner.
I think it's not exactly that I'm super confident in the kitchen. It's more that I have acceptance of failure. I don't see failure as failure, or I can see it as failure. I don't care so much about this. I just see it as a possible outcome of my work. It's just like, all right, so I can't go this way apparently because there's a block. Doesn't work. That's just, I got no opinion on it. I got no emotions about this. It's just like, you know, that there's a book by a guy called Ryan Holiday, and the book is called The Obstacle is the Way. It's just like, I mean, the obstacle just show you where not to go. Right? That's amazing. I had 10 routes to begin with. Now I've got 9. Easier. So maybe there's that. But I guess also repetition makes me more at ease with cooking in general. The fact that, yes, I've learned how to cook this and that ingredient, and I've been failing at this one and this one, but also I've had a few successes. So maybe it's balancing out the fear, the fact that I've also got some successes. So I'd say yes, experience and acceptance of failure. It's just part of the process.
So, well, do you think that there's, obviously cooking for other people helps, picking dishes that have benchmarks, like traditional quote unquote benchmarks of, like you're saying, cacio e pepe has to have a certain texture to it and a certain aroma to it. Do you have any advice for people who are maybe a little bit comfortable in the kitchen, but they're so scared to ask for feedback? Has there been anything that's helped you in asking for that feedback?
Sometimes it's hard for me to put myself in these shoes, because I've been exposing myself repeatedly to the judgment of not the worst, but the best chef out there. I brought my sauce to a 3 Michelin-starred chef. So I'm an amateur cook. I've been cooking for like 10 years, maybe a bit more than this, but just for friends and families. So just bringing that sauce to these guys, I know I'm going to get destroyed. I'm going to get it, obliterated. I like it. I don't care. It's amazing for me. Can you imagine just being judged by this guy? I would pay money to be judged by this guy. And he's doing it for free just because I've got an interesting story to tell, or because the collaboration is fun. I've always seen judgment as I mean, it depends on the judgment, obviously, but I wouldn't go and look for, you know, someone who would just purposefully be mean. That's not even somebody I would collaborate with. But most of the time, I mean, most of the people I've met in kitchens, they were pretty nice, pretty open-minded. Food, you may have a different opinion on this. I don't know, because I haven't been working, in kitchens. But from what I've seen, food tends to attract friendly people, more or less, more or less. Probably a few exceptions along the way, but more or less friendly people. So usually when I'm asking to be judged brutally, because this is YouTube, this is fun, this is entertainment, people are nice with me. They, soften the edges, and I really have to push them even off camera to say, no, just go for it. If there's something wrong, I want to hear about it. And from a personal point of view, I mean, from a cook's point of view, I want to know what's wrong. If you don't tell me what's wrong, how am I going to self-improve? How am I going to improve my work? I
Those,
don't settle for, I don't want to stagnate.
those are the worst people to cook for. The friends who say everything is amazing, and not just that they're constantly complimentary, but they don't actually know how to put into words how to say the sauce was really good, but I thought it needed a little bit more acid, or I thought that you probably could have gotten a little bit more color on your chicken before it went into the braising liquid.
Mm-hmm.
That's so important. So it's almost like you need both. You need to find the people who are kind and willing to give you that feedback, but then also the people who have at least a little bit of a sense of what makes food good, or maybe not. Maybe there is a little bit of wisdom in the naive almost.
Mm-hmm. I like the idea of just handpicking the friends you ask for guidance. Because for example, I consider the videos that I make super short movies. At least I follow filming rules when I make my videos. I want a beginning, a middle, and an end. I want a reason to watch it beneath or beyond the recipe. When I've got a sort of a short movie that is almost done, I wouldn't seek for advice with anyone. I mean, it's not coming out the way I wanted it. I wouldn't go to anybody. I wouldn't go to anyone to get tips on how to improve my work. I would go to my producer, with whom I've been working for years. She's, very talented. She's pretty brutal, but I respect her, her vision. Sometimes I will not agree and I will not modify my work, but I value her, advices, her vision, her angle on the subject. I would go to certain person, but I wouldn't expose my work to everybody. I mean, um, I don't care. I don't care. That's where I think as a content creator you have to have a voice. It can be bad. It cannot be what they would have done, and that's why you are doing it. They want to do it. Maybe they're gonna do it with a different voice, and that's gonna be amazing. But I guess not exposing your work to. I don't even ask for feedback when somebody sees it. If I don't want to, I'm not gonna ask for feedback. I don't know if this is coming out the right way, but it's just about picking the right person to whom you want to open to. Because we're talking about things where you expose yourself. Would it be content creation? Would it be a dish? When a chef try and puts care and efforts and work and research and memories and sometimes even emotions into a dish, and the dish gets slammed by a random guy who, I don't know if the chef should be doing that in the first place. Maybe the best would be just to explain or to pick the right person for that. I don't know.
I don't know who to correctly attribute this quote to, so I'm not gonna try. It feels like it's like a Brene Brown something, but I'm pretty sure she has a list of 5 people that she listens to their feedback. And you're telling me basically the same thing. You have your producer and maybe your editor and maybe a couple other people in your life where
Exactly.
If they give you feedback on something, you will not change the entire video to accommodate their vision, but you will take that and put some salt on it, and you will actually take that and say, okay, this is maybe interesting. Everybody else, aside from those 5 people, like you said, I don't care.
It's like I don't want to be mean to them. I can't follow. The worst piece of content that I could put out would be a piece of content where I would have followed every opinion. It would just be the worst movie ever. And I've done these movies way too many times.
So I was asking about how you could, if there's a time recently where you thought that you potentially listened to a little bit too much audience feedback instead of following what you thought was right.
Not recently, like in the early days. Yeah, very much. And I started my channel, where the very first piece of content was in English, where I'm just French by nature. It's easier for me to speak French. And I did that because I thought I want to make my videos available to a broader audience, especially if I end up in a niche, then, picking a little of just picking a small amount of an audience in every little country out there could potentially make for a bigger audience. And if I do this in French, well, I mean, the end population is just 60 million. That's pretty rough, especially if then I narrow it by doing engineered / cook / I'm going to have nobody on my channel. Nobody's going to watch my videos. So I didn't have the end goal, the end plan, the end game when I started it. But I guess I was more subject to whims and opinions and feedback. And I was just following advices way too much. But I guess it takes time for any creator in any field, I guess, to just build up like a shield, almost like a sort of a shield, which is not impenetrable. Still to this day, people can get to me with feedback. They can. But I guess my skin is a little tougher, maybe.